What is up YouTube, Cyh Kai here. Today I'm gonna be doing a pure Eldritch deck profile. You guys may have heard of me from ESDR Gaming. I did a Dogmatika deck profile at the channel. I'll leave the link down in the description below so you guys can go check it out. And I played this deck during last week's locals, and during SS I got first place, went 4-0 undefeated, as you guys can see here. Yeah, that's me, that's my name there. I got first place, and second place is Ethan, which is ESDR Gaming. Shout out to my boy. He did a good job using Zodiacs. Yep, so without further ado, let's get to the profile. So first off, we'll be going with triple Golden Lord, the Eldritch Golden Lords. The reason you play 3 because you don't want to miss out every single one. You wanted to grind with every Golden Lord as you can. You don't want to get caught by the grave. You don't want to like people banish it and you run out of resources. This is your only big beater of your decks, so you wanted to keep them in your place as much as possible. Yep, 3 copies and 2 copies of Ecclesia. This is my normal summon of the deck, my only normal summon of the deck, because this card can just search your floodgates, which is Dogmatika punishments. And one of the interesting thing is because this card cannot be destroyed by battle by a monster from the Astro decks, so you can just summon this card in defense positions, and certain decks like Orcus or Cyber Dragons, they can't punch through you, they have to remove you by effects, which is kind of nice. And for hand traps, triple maxis and the gamma package. I don't play Ash because sometimes it's hard to explain to certain someone that why I don't play Ash, because the difference between Ash and Cyframes is because Ash doesn't remove the problem, it's just negate and doesn't destroy. Well, in my opinion, using Cyframe Gamma, removing a card on the field is huge, even in the hands. You can stop like Heart Horror, you can stop like Gazelle at hand, you can even stop IP Masquerena, and most of your cards in this deck is just baits Cyframe, baits Ash, and you can just open this like for free and you summon 2 monsters and they can't do anything about it. If they Ash you, this card just stays at hands. It's just too absurd not to play with. And my last monster is one Prankatops. The reason I play this because going second, I wanted a free monster to pop or for a beater, and Prankthought is the only reason I don't play Alpha, because it's the one funny interaction is because you can use this effect to tribute as cost, and it also triggers the Gamma package, unlike Alpha, so I choose to play Prankatops instead of Alpha. Although Alpha is not once per turn, but it's just better in my opinion. And for spells, 3 Extravagance, because drawing cards is nice and you don't really care about your Astro decks. You mostly just wanted to draw your pieces, dig deeper, and also bait Ash, so why not? 1 Prosperity, I only play 1 because I already played 3 Extravagance, so I don't have that much of a space in my Astro for me to banish as cost. And this card allows me to dig deeper into my deck, dig to my side deck, dig to my Sanguine or whatever missing pieces I needed. I'll just use this to dig them out. And 2 Outlands, sadly this card's down to 2, but it doesn't really matter because half of your game you doesn't even wanted to see this card. Mostly it's just there, and if it's at your opening hand you might just use it. If you don't, then you just don't want to see it, because this kind of consistency card doesn't really matter if you have it in your field. It's just there's just to fill in your deck pieces. And for next, I play 2 Black Awakening and 1 White Destiny. White Destiny is nice when opponents wanted to call by the grave or DD Crow my Golden Lord in the graveyard. I just change this to bring it back, and my opponent just have to waste 1 of their resources. And for Black Awakening also is a Gamma bait. You wanted to have your Golden Lord on your field as much as possible, so you can banish this during your main phase to set whatever you needed, and you have a Golden Lord on the field, so it's just nice. And the one Nadir 7 sad face only have 1 pieces, but 1 is enough because this card is bait ash, it pops a card, and it just do too much in the deck. So 1 piece. For trap cards, Forever Golden Lord, you only play 1 because it's a brick. You're not always gonna use its effects, but it's just there, so playing 1. And for the reason this card is broken, 3 Sanguine, 3 Conquistador, and 2 Hakuero. I might bump this up to 3, but I think 2 is the perfect number because there is not much graveyard based deck in my locals, mostly just Tritron. But I think 2 is the perfect number. I don't always use its effect to banish my opponent's graveyard except for maybe for Orcus, their Symbol Skeleton or their Gizmex, and I'll just search this. And Conquistador, we all know how good this card was. Pop-up cards, non-targets, and Sanguine, the consistent grind game cards in deck. There's no reason not to play 3. And for other back rows, 2 Solemn Judgment, I don't play 3 because it's an awful card going second, but I do love this card a lot. It protects my back rows against Lightning Storm, Evenly Matched, Feather Dusters, which is I hate the most. This card saves me a lot of games. Like literally I see this card every single game, I open it every single game. And my win button, triple skill drain, the most absurd floodgates, the most painful back rows your opponent wanted to see, and mostly I open this card, I just win the game because your opponent can't do much about it. 2 Dogmatika Punishment, I only play 2 because I only have 2 Ecclesias, and I don't want to open that much of this card because it's a once per turn card. You don't want to see this card as much as you did in Invoke Dogmatika, but it's just there because it's a pop 2 and you don't special summon from your Astro deck, so it doesn't care about your Astro decks. This card just pops pop your opponent's monsters, use enters to pop back row. This card is just too good not to play. 2 Torrential Tributes, people ask me why I don't play Summon Limits because Summon Limits doesn't remove the problems. When opponents summon 1 or 2 monsters, they just stop at the spot. They still have 2 monsters, they can just attack you for like a few thousand damage. If you open Torrential Tribute instead, your monsters are gone and you save from attacking, and you keep your field empty as well. You can also base something like your opponents wanted to do a combo starter, so you can gamma your opponent because you're already Torrential Tribute, your field is always empty, and it's just better than Summon Limits, so in my opinion. And the last card I play is 1 Imperial Order, and because it's a heavy battle decks, we wanted to prevent Cosmic Cyclones, Dusters, Lightning Storm. Yeah, this card's just there. 42 main decks, I will not change anything yet unless the meta games is shifted or the band is coming out, but who knows. Extra decks, 1 Wing Pegasus is a discard folder for my Dogmatika Punishment on our Dear Servant. Bouncing your opponent's card to the deck is kinda nice. 1 Tianyi Berserker, this card is really, in my opinion, is really stupid against Zodiacs. If you summon this when you wanted to declare attack, your opponent's Dryden can't pop it. If they do, I'll just trade with his Dryden, so especially just a trade cards, and it's a 3000, so you can just ran through a lot of things. You can even ran through Dingrisu and they can't do much about it. 1 Omega, self-explanatory, banishing opponent's hand until end of turn, and recycling your graveyards. And the last synchro is 1 Scrap Dragons. Again, same as Berserker, the Tianyi is a trade card. You wanted to trade with your opponents, and removing a card on the field helps a lot in this deck. For discard folders, 1 Ash Dragons and 2 Enters. I only play 2 Enters because same reason, I only have 2 punishments and 1 Nadir. And Ash Dragon is just absurd in this deck against Virtual. you can send this over the near server, you search for Ecclesia, and during the end phase, you can still trigger its effects to special summon out your Ecclesia so your opponent's VFD can't ran through it, or any other decks that rely on extra decks, they can't punch through your Ecclesias. Xyz 3 good stuff max. This is one of my second win conditions, and I choose to play 3 because I play Extravagance. I don't want to lose this card in important moments, and I wanted to see this card mostly every time I need it. I summon this card mostly every game. I'll just win on the spot, especially after side decks. People don't side Vader or Impermanence against this deck, so these effects will eventually go through. One play this, you can make this out of Hakuero and Conquistador. They're both level 5s. Bouncing your cards from your opponent's field to the hand is nice. One Zeus, I never summon this out, but sometimes I needed to clear my opponent's board, and sometimes I don't mind clearing mine because I can self-respawn during the end phase. And 2 number double X, for people who don't know what this card does, its effects is when this card destroys your opponent's monster by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can detach 1 material from this card, special summon that monster to your field as defense positions. And also once per turn, you can target 1 other monster on the field that is special summoned. If you do, gain life point equals to these points. So if you destroy opponent's monsters, Divine Arsenal AA Zeus, you can transform it to the field, and its effect targeting this, you gain 3000 life points, which is insane. And especially during the grind games, you want your life point as high as possible against your opponent, and this card just helps you do it. And the last card is once 7 since number 77. I just play this card because sometimes I wanted to keep my monster on the field for next turn, so I'll just put this over number double X and my opponents can't kill it. And for side decks, you guys can choose whatever you like in the side decks based on your meta games or even your locals. So for mine, I play Nibiru combo decks like dragons, orcas, cyber dragons, you know. 2 draw and a semi-win con against Drytrons and Invoked. Yeah, we have Invoked in our local, so I cite this in when I met them. Stopping them from searching is nice. And also sometimes it might clock your Maxi into a break, but doesn't mind. And the spicy card I play is 2 Laval Golem against decks like Endymions, Dragonlings, Thunder Dragons. You just send this to your opponents, and your opponent just lose. Because I feel like if I play cards like Sphere Mode, my opponents will eventually stop summon, and they'll just end their board with two monsters. So I think that playing Laval Golem is literally better because you special summon to their opponent's field, they have to summon another monster to link it off, or find a ways to get rid of this card, or they just lose 1000 life points, and I just can kill them on their spots. They eventually will lose to these cards. One Duster and 3 Cosmic Cyclones against back row decks. This card is really good against Mirror Match, Virtual Wolves, etc. And yep, Dusters, the territory. 3 Evenly Match. This card is insane against Mirrors, Auto Guys, or any back row decks, any setup decks. This card is just nice, especially Mirror Match. And the last 2 card I play is 2 D Barrier. The reason I play this because this card is sometimes nice going first and second. If you're going second, you can just slowly grind your opponent's board, and you set this, and your opponent wanted to like exit summons or retro summons or even fusion summons, you can then flip this, and then you can just stun your opponents for a turn, and you have a turn chance to make it up and catch up with your opponents. And this card's nice. So guys, that's gonna wrap it up to this video. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of this video. Be sure to like the video. As always, subscribe to my channel for more Yu-Gi-Oh contents. And if you guys got any other archetype or any other decks wanted me to do a deck profile, be sure to let me know in the comments as well. And of course, it will be a playable and budget decks. And just thanks you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.